Welcome to Scoop Order. Happy Wednesday. Another Michigan starter in the transfer portal. Ooh, that is delicious. We're going to get into all that. The NFL draft is tomorrow night. Where's Marvin going to end up? A lot of prop bets on that. I think we're going to cash in on him being the first receiver taken. We're going to get into all that, and we're going to take your questions as always. Thank you guys for being a part of this podcast. Again, this is a great show because you guys make it a great show. We appreciate you guys for everything you guys do. Again, this is it's an awesome chat. It's an awesome group. It's an awesome family. I know you guys are always excited to be chomping at the bit at 7 o'clock when we go live. So we thank you guys for being on here each and every night. It's a huge show because you guys made it one. So we appreciate that. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, if you guys could, shout out where you guys are watching from and shout out who you guys are watching with. We're going to head down to Southern Ohio and go to the Saddle River. If you guys go to BuckeyeScoop.com, you'll see the invite on that. So make sure you join BuckeyeScoop.com. We're also going to do a big golf outing at the end of July. If you are a member of BuckeyeScoop.com, you're invited. And joining either of those events will probably pay for your entire admission. So we're excited to see you guys. So we appreciate you guys. But I'm going to get right into it with Nevada, DJ Waller Jr., projected to be the starting cornerback, number 2 cornerback, obviously behind Will Johnson at Michigan, has entered the transfer portal. And again, we did nobody was harder on Michigan than we were this offseason. But what are your thoughts on another Michigan player, along with basically their entire coaching staff since they won the national championship, entering the portal and going to the LA Chargers? What are your thoughts on another starter who played 11 games, was a guy that they developed, a guy who was a Michigan man? What are your thoughts on him taking off?
Yeah, this was a surprising one. This was one that Michigan had not anticipated. A guy leaving, obviously not one of the big four, but like probably the next tier of guys in terms, starting cornerback. After you've already lost a starting safety to a season-ending injury, you've lost another safety to Alabama. I mean, the exodus continues. I would say the last one out of Ann Arbor, turn out the lights, but you just can't continue to hemorrhage talent like this. They're going to have a lot of draft picks tomorrow, a lot of later picks, but it just shows you, veteran team, older team, a bunch of guys, bunch of 4th, 5th, and 6th-year guys. And they caught lightning in a bottle last year, but now all those guys are gone, and now all these guys are gone, plus these transfer portal guys, plus these injury guys, plus the staff attrition. You guys know my name is Nevadabuck, so I love betting on all this stuff. I love betting on propositions, whether it be draft propositions, future win propositions, whatever, future game propositions. Michigan's going to have a tough time this year. Michigan's going to, and anything that gives Michigan a tough time when Ohio State is thriving just makes me happy, because if we're losing guys like this, we're a deep team and we could sustain it, but it would hurt. When you're not a deep team, you can't sustain it, and it hurts badly. And this would be the equivalent, for Ohio State of losing, say, I don't know who it would be because we're returning all the starters, but a Davison or at the least a Jermaine Matthews or something. I mean, a good player that's definitely in there too deep. A guy penciled in as a starter, a guy that last year played the 6th most reps of all their cornerbacks. So big loss for Michigan, big loss to the portal, and the dream offseason for Ohio State continues, and the nightmare offseason for Michigan continues, and nothing could make me happier than that. So this is another good day to be an Ohio State fan and a bad day to be a Wolveriner.
Yeah, and it's tough because, again, they open up with, you look at their schedule, they start off with Fresno State. Obviously, that's a team that they should walk right through.
Barton.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Did we lose you, Mr. Barton?
Can you hear me? No. Can you hear me? Nevada. I think I lost Nevada. But anyways, we lost Fresno State. Or they got Fresno State, which is an easy one. Here, I'll get Nevada back in here. Apologize for that. Nevada, are you there?
I am here. I don't know.
So they
where did you lose me in my rant?
No, you were good the whole way. You said, "Did you lose me?"
I,
And then you're disconnected, but you're fine. You're
yeah,
back now. So Fresno
good.
State is an easy opener for Michigan. Then they play number 4 Texas. So when you lose your starting safety, your starting corner, that'll be a beatdown. Arkansas State will be obviously an easy win for Michigan. Obviously, no matter who they have on the field. And then they play SC. SC is going to be interesting with Lincoln Riley. They got Kyle Ford yesterday, who is a guy who we reached out to via Chip Kelly, a guy at UCLA, he was a former 5-star. We looked at his film the other day and he looked really good, but he went from SC to UCLA to back to USC. So he committed to SC last night late. And then they got Minnesota. Then at Washington. So it's like if you put a gun to my head right now, I would say that looks like 3-3 at best, 4-2. If they beat SC in Michigan, or if they go to Washington, because I think Washington's gonna be good next year. I think they're gonna have again that's a tough road trip. I've played there before. Loud stadium, good stadium. Obviously, they were a lot of their best players are gone. Obviously, from the team that went to the national championship last year, but they've got 3 real teams on that schedule. Obviously, like I said, they'll mow down Fresno State. They'll mow down Arkansas State. Minnesota should be much of a problem. But, they're playing Texas. I mean, if you told me Ohio State, if you blindfolded me and I had no idea what the rosters look like, they said that, a team's playing Texas, USC, and Washington, I'd say that that's probably 2 losses, maybe. Because I think Texas is going to be one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country next year. Them, Ohio State, Georgia, I think are on a different tier. SC, it'll be interesting to see what they do at quarterback, but I think that they're going to get their defense shored up because they can't be any worse than they were last year. And then at Washington is brutal, so it'll be interesting to see what these guys can do. Nevada, as these guys are hemorrhaging, defensive players in their backfield, is 4-2 about as realistic as you can get for Michigan to start the deal, and then again, you go 4-2, then you have that off week. Then you've got Illinois. And again, Illinois has traditionally sucked. But under Brett Bielema, they were much tougher than they used to be. They're physical. It's at Champaign. Champaign's a tough place to play because it's not because it's super crowded and loud. It's more because there's nobody there. It's like a mausoleum. And they're gonna fight hard and they're gonna play hard and they're gonna try to beat Michigan. So that's tough. Then Michigan State's obviously a big rivalry game for them. Then they got to play Oregon, who I think could be again another top 4 team in the country, along with Texas, Ohio State, Georgia. So that's a lot of tough matchups in my opinion. But Nevada, what are your thoughts on that? Because you get the Buckeyes, you got the Big Ten championship game, but that's going to be a gauntlet. That's going to be a daunting schedule. But what are your thoughts on Michigan as they're hemorrhaging their defensive backs?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to play. You got to play Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas, and that's 3 of the top 4 teams in the country right there. And then and you have to win one of those 3 games against the top 3 team in the country, and then you have to run the table against USC, at Washington, and then dodge all the other bullets inside the Big Ten. I mean, there's just no chance. I mean, that would be a tough schedule for a really good team, for a team that doesn't have any of their starters on the offensive line, breaking in a new quarterback, has no dynamic players, and has lost all this talent. There is no chance in heck that they go 10-2. No chance. Over 2.5. I'm telling you, under 9.5 wins regular season. That is free money, guys. They are handing it out right now. I mean, that's a tough schedule. I mean, Nate, tell me the number of teams in the country that could go 10-2 playing that schedule, playing Ohio State at Ohio State, playing Oregon and playing Texas on top of everything else, and then going to Washington and playing USC. I couldn't think of many. Maybe one, Georgia, maybe. That's a heck of a schedule.
I agree. I mean, it's like when you look at like teams like Georgia and what they play, and honestly, even like if you look at Ohio State, like what Ohio State's schedule looks like this year is a cakewalk compared to what that is. I mean, in my opinion, like when you have to play Oregon, USC, like Ohio State, obviously they have to go to Alton, which is going to be this is the hardest game on the schedule by far. Obviously, they'll host Michigan like they do every year at the end of the year, but they don't have SC. They don't have to go to Washington. I like the timing of Ohio State's bye weeks, which are just as important as anything. But yeah, this is going to be and we don't play Texas. Obviously, Texas is that's the school that we dodge just based on their out of conference schedule. But Texas is going to be really good this year. I mean, they're going to have a bunch of players picked in the draft tomorrow. They'll probably have at least the defensive tackle, the 1D tackle, and the receiver. I don't know if Xavier Worthy will go first round. I imagine he might go second round. And then they've got the big fat D tackle who'll probably go second round. But they're one guy and one of their DBs will probably both go first round. So they're a talent laden program. They always have been. And again, we used to dodge those guys. So again, I'm excited about our schedule next year because I think our schedule next year, like this upcoming year in 24, it kind of emulates what Michigan had last year, where they had kind of a cakewalk until they played Ohio State, and I think we need to make hay right now because again, this is a team that is built to win a national championship. We've been searching through the portal. Not sure if we're going to grab another portal guy, but I've heard the NIL stuff that's been going on. I've heard that we've been aggressive. I've heard that we've kind of been saving a little bit of money, trying to keep our roster management budget down as low as we can, just to keep the coffers full in case some big time guy enters the portal the next 10 days or so. So I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be fantastic. I think this is gonna be the year where we've got a lot on the line. I mean, this is a year where the schedule lines up, our talent lines up, our coaching staff is the best that we've ever had. At least in the last 25 years of me covering Ohio State, this is the best coaching staff we've ever had. And I honestly don't think it's close. With Chip Kelly leading the offense and Jim Knowles leading the defense. So, I think it's going to be a year to cash in the chips. Nevada, do you have any questions before we get into a couple of these super chats? Because some of these are very, very good questions.
No, just I mean, what a day! I mean, you had Reggie Bush getting the Heisman Trophy back, apparently, in some big ceremony on that, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, you and I haven't had a chance. I've been busy the last few days. I know you've been busy. We haven't had a chance to talk offline too much about stuff like that. But I thought that was pretty fairly significant, just in terms of college football. I'm a college football historian, and the fact that the Heisman Trust decided to give it back to him. I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about that, and I'm genuinely curious because, like I said, we didn't have a chance to pre-show on this. I'm genuinely curious on your feelings on it. I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure I care, but it seemed like kind of I'm not sure how to describe by the Heisman Trust. I mean, like a business decision by them to give it back to him because they could, and it didn't really make a difference. And I think people trying to draw some nexus between this and the Michigan scandal. I saw that online today a lot, and I was like, this has nothing to do with the NCAA. This is the Heisman Trust. This is a private business deciding that they can get some cheap heat by giving Reggie Bush's thing back. It has nothing to do with NCAA. And, they were trying to say, oh, because of electronic communications, now that mitigates the whole sign stealing scandal. It's like, no, the NCAA has not outlawed advanced scouting. They haven't changed that rule. They've just made it harder for you to steal signs on day of game in terms of doing stuff. But they haven't done anything about advanced scouting. That's still very much part of the bylaws, part of the rules, and very much part of the punishment that's going to be hitting. But what are your thoughts on the Reggie Bush Heisman? Do you care? Does that even register a 1 on a scale of 100 for you?
Well, I mean, I don't care, but I think it is, again, at the time the rules were written, Reggie cheated. His family benefited. They had, $1 million house. They had all kinds of benefits. They had, but again, like the SC guys, like they weren't even shy about it. They're like, oh, we're in LA hanging out with P. Diddy and doing all this stuff. And again, clearly all of that is illegal. And again, do I care if those guys smacked on it? No. Did we have people that did stuff that wasn't, above board? I'm sure. But, he knew what the rules were, and so, and again, like, does it matter if things change now and all of a sudden, oh, that's all legal and NIL? I'm like, well, I mean, if you want to gamble on that and into the future, say, well, at some point we're going to have free market and I can go out and get my NIL deals and I can go get money and I can go have my mom live a comfortable lifestyle, then like, I'd have been like, sure, I'm open for business. Now, granted, I'm not a running back. I don't play at SC. I'm not in LA. I'm not out slurping all these agents and slurping all these guys to get money. Because again, like these guys all prostitute themselves for money. That's what these kids do. So a guy like Reggie, he's out, dealing with these scumbags and taking their money. And then again, when you do that, you basically enslave yourself to being their master. And that's a thing where I was always like, I don't want to take any money from these guys because if they ever turn on you, then they can go snitch and they can go rat and they can go say, oh, well, he said he's going to let me be his agent, or he said I can go be his marketing guy. And inevitably, all of these guys, as they get closer to actual, like being a real NFL player, they're just like, well, yeah, I said you could be my marketing guy or my agent, but then CAA called me or Athletes First called me or one of these major agencies called me, and I don't want to deal with your little stupid Ponzi scheme having self anymore. So again, do I care? Not really, but do I think it's fair that he was, on the take and balling and living the lifestyle when he was a college kid and a lot of people try to do it right? No, again, I'm not throwing stones in the glass house. Again, I didn't do it. Do I know people that did it? Absolutely. But I think that, at the time, it wasn't legal. NIL wasn't a thing. And again, there's nobody in the history of mankind that would love NIL more than I would have. Because when I was a college kid, I would have gone to every business in Central Ohio and I would have farmed myself for NIL money because you could do that. Like, I don't need an agent. I don't need a marketing guy. I am the marketing guy. I am the agent. Like, and again, if you go in and you can talk the talk, you can go make all kinds of money. But most of these kids are soft and they're weak and they're scared to talk to people. They want to text message people. They don't want to actually talk to like grown men, grown businessmen and actually earn a living because they're soft. Their parents are soft. The parents that think their agents are soft. So they don't even know how to they don't know how to even formulate a sentence in front of like a real business guys that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not $1 billion. And again, that's a skill that when you're an Ohio State football player, these guys actually might take a meeting with you. I mean, and you don't even have to be JJ Smith or some of these guys that are ballers, because I think if you're any guy on the team, they take a meeting with you because they'd be so impressed with the fact that you had the initiative to actually talk to these guys. They'd be like, oh my God, an Ohio State guy actually decided to call me. This is amazing. I don't even know what's in this guy. He might be some sort of a super mutant. He might be an X-Man at this point because all of a sudden he's going to show up and be like, man, Mr. Business guy, Mr. Business developer, Mr. Land, whatever guy, construction company owner, man, I'd love to meet with you. And those people would probably have heart attacks and die because they'd be like, a guy from Ohio State's football team actually has the initiative to talk to me, and I don't have to talk to Mark Pantoni and the collect in 1870 and the foundation. They're like, oh my God, like this guy actually has the initiative to talk to me. Like, I'm like, yeah, like I'm like, I tell these guys, I'm like, you're allowed to talk to these guys. You don't have to be soft. You don't have to sit on Bumble and Tinder and Instagram and Xbox Live and like sit and talk to nerds and skanks all night. You can actually go talk to real business people and actually make money. And people look at me like I have 7 heads. And I'm like, well, you could. And again, I'd ran circles around these morons. But that's the thing about Reggie is like, he was doing it because again, he was on the take, which is fine. And again, Terrell Pryor got zinged for being on the take too. That whole tattoo crew, because they gave away their gold pants or whatever for tattoos, like they're on the take. But I'm fine with Reggie getting his Heisman back. It doesn't affect me at all. My life doesn't change an ounce. But, again, at the time, he knew, like deep down, when you do this kind of stuff, if what you're doing is either right or wrong. And the thing is like he knew it was wrong, but he still did it, and he still, he got his mom paid and his stepdad paid, and they had a nice house in wherever whatever part of LA, Chino Hills or whatever it was, and that's beautiful. That's great. Happy for him, but when you do that, you're playing with fire. Like you're playing with the devil at that point. And if they want to turn on you and they want to rat on you, then this is a repercussion. All of a sudden, you get the Heisman taken away. You get embarrassed. They forfeit wins. Pete Carroll has to take the golden parachute to the Seattle Seahawks. So that's where it's at. And again, does it affect me? No. Do I care? No. But at the time, it wasn't legal. So, people like to do all this retroactive stuff where it's like, well, back then it was illegal, but now it's legal. So we should be able to have done it back then. But that wasn't the rules. So, again, it doesn't affect me, but I hope that the 2010 team gets restored. I hope they put that trophy back in the Woody Hayes. I was there when they took it down. I was there when they took down the 2010 banner, which again, was that for a national championship? No. Was it for the Big Ten? Yes. Did they take a Sugar Bowl trophy and throw it in the trash? Yes. So hopefully they'll put that back up if they're going to do this kind of trash. Nevada, do you have any rebuttal to that?
No, I mean, look, I feel exactly the same way. I think when the rules are the rules and they are what they are, but you can't go back and change the past. And, the fans will always say they have the memories. So you can't erase the memories of the Sugar Bowl, but it would be nice to see that stuff reinstated. But again, to my earlier point, that's an NCAA thing. This Heisman thing is strictly a private business. This is the Heisman Trust doing this thing and making a big deal out of giving Reggie Bush, who's a very popular online, Wendy's commercial guy, giving him back his trophy now, and I hope it'll give them some cheap heat and some love. But I just really, I really have mixed feelings about it. And where does it stop? Do you give the Fab Five back all their stuff from Michigan and stuff? Where does it stop? So no, I think rules were there. People knew. Everybody knew what they were doing when they broke them or chose. I always say people don't act well in general just because everybody was set up with great DNA and everybody's designed to be good people. They do it because of fear of repercussion, they fear of punishment. And if you take that away, then there's a problem. These guys, they made their move, they got the money, they got the big $1 million house, the big benefits, and now the message is there's no punishment for it. So I'm not sure it's a great moral message or a whatever kind of message, but again, on my list of things I care about today, this is pretty far down the list. The Michigan guy entering the transfer portal, way bigger. My proposition bets on there's a proposition bet right now. You can go to Marvin Harrison to be the first wide receiver taken in the NFL draft. It's minus 1,000. And you say minus 1,000 Nevada, that means you can make 10% on your money in one day. And Marvin Harrison is going to be the first wide receiver taken. I think that's a good one. There's also prop JJ McCarthy to go lower, not in the first top 5. I don't think he's going to go in the first 5. I think he'll go lower than that. And that one you can actually get plus money on. That's not like a minus 1,000. That's like a plus 120, or it was plus 140, kind of narrowing up. But a couple of prop bets on the draft. We got a great draft going tomorrow night. And it's, boy, they call it the off season, but boy, it doesn't feel like the off season because it seems like there's exciting stories breaking every minute or so.
Yeah, I mean the offseason is never here, but I agree with you. It's like, what do they stop this? Is it the Fab Five? What happens if um, your like mafioso uncle was running a gambling ring inside of Ohio? Like, are they going to say, well, gambling's illegal in Ohio now? You're allowed to go to the casino.
Exactly.
I mean, like, well, Uncle Jimmy's in prison for 50 years for running an illegal sports book and making millions of dollars, but it's all legal now. It's like, well, it wasn't when he did it, 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So I don't know. It's like when laws change, I feel like obviously your behaviors are allowed to change. But if laws are different, then it kind of is what it is. You have to follow whatever the laws are. I don't know. The Reggie thing, it doesn't rub me the wrong way because I don't care. I genuinely don't. If Reggie Bush has his Heisman sitting in his house in LA, great. If he doesn't, great. I just don't care. He won the Heisman. fair and square. They took it from him for cheating. That's fine. OJ never got his Heisman back. He's dead now. Also fine. Don't care about OJ, but that's just where I'm at. All right, so we'll get to the super chats. Andre Duke, brother, it was great being on your show. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. Thank you for being an ultra member as well. Thanks for the interview, Kirk. You guys were awesome. You and Carter were great. And sorry we did not talk about Culver's Butterburgers and what is the biggest thing I'm looking for in fall camp this year. Well, I have to go get Culver's at some point because people are beating me to death about the concrete, the Butterburger, the cheese curds, whatever. I brought home Five Guys for my kids, full disclosure, because my kids inhale Five Guys. They love it. Cheeseburger, bacon, extra cheese. I mean, they're like, I have a 2-year-old and a 4 or 6-year-old, and they house it.
It's expensive. That place is expensive, man. What that set you back about $100 or something?
Oh, it was like $80. I mean, I'm telling you, for 2 kids, wife, 2 dogs, give the dogs a burger. It's $80. I mean, easily, and that's pickup. That's not even DoorDash. It's not even the rich Nevadabuck way to do it. It's like,
no,
I did the poorest way possible.
You didn't get shakes either.
Hell no. I didn't get a shake. No. I didn't get fries. I got burgers. Literally. And I was like, good God.
That place is expensive, man. That place is expensive.
Go donate a kidney right quick. But hey, they figured it out because people, they're so aligned there. And it's like, the thing I love about Five Guys is that when you do the pickup order, they hold it behind the counter because they've had so many bandits and vandals and douchebags that steal the food that they hold it behind the counter until you come up and say your name, then they hand it to you. So shout out Five Guys, man, fighting crime, 1 burger order at a time, because that stack of burgers is like, I mean, you could go buy a new Xbox for that cost. Andre, in terms of things I'm looking for in fall camp this year, settling the right side of the offensive line, right guard, right tackle between, obviously Josh Fryer is going to be either right guard, right tackle. I think the money right now is on him being right tackle, right guard, Carson Hinsman, and then the mixture of, George Fitzpatrick, Tigra, Luke Montgomery, any other challengers like on Street Fighter, who mixes that up. And then, like obviously the quarterback position, Will Howard. I think Nevada's Mr. Prop Bet guy today. I would bet a large sum Will Howard is a starting quarterback. And again, unless something insane, unless he blows his ACL in summer conditioning. Because again, in football, I've seen guys in draft training blow their Achilles or ACL. So, like, short of him having a severe injury, he's our starting quarterback. Which, again, in college football, in football, in training, in whatever, things can happen. But, I think Will Howard, I'd bet a large sum is our starting quarterback. And again, I talked to a good source today, and they were very adamant that, hey, there's a lot of Devin Brown people out there. I like that. I mean, go back and listen to our shows from August. We were the conductors next to Zach Smith on the Devin Brown Express, and it never really got on the station. And I like Devin. I like the burn the boats thing, but I think Will Howard is a guy that, Ryan Day went out, spent a fortune on him. Ryan Day's mortgaging his entire coaching career on this year's starting quarterback. When you've got all this talent, you've got Trey Henderson and Quinshon Judkins and the line's good, and J.J. Smith, who they spent a fortune on, and Caleb Downs. Like, if you get to go pick a quarterback, he spent money on Will Howard, a lot of money. So, again, that might not mean anything to you guys, but to me, a guy who's been around the block a few times, that means a lot to me. So, I'm excited to see the quarterback battle, and I'm excited to see the right side of the offensive line battle. Your thoughts on that, Nevada? Your biggest thing you're looking for in fall camp this year?
I mean, if I had to pick one, it's just the Chip Kelly offense. I just want to see the Chip Kelly offense running. Obviously, that encompasses a lot of different things. That encompasses, the configuration of the offensive line. We've talked about, who we like, seeing who the guys are that kind of emerge behind that, whether it be Zen or George or Tigro or Luke or whomever. The continuing J.J. Smith saga. I'm interested in seeing the tight end. How Chip Kelly utilizes the tight end in this offense. because that's something that's been kind of a forgotten piece up until now. We've changed coordinators, we've changed head coaches, we've done all sorts of different things with the Ohio State offense, but the tight end position has been one that's been somewhat underutilized for a long time. How will Chip Kelly kind of address that? How will he use the two running back? I mean, you literally have two players that could be the first team All American and second team All American running back at Ohio State. And how is Chip Kelly going to utilize that? So for me, it's just the overarching story of the Chip Kelly offense. The first time that he's been, unshackled by the head coaching responsibilities in a very long time, and he can just be an offensive coordinator, just do it at the highest level here at Ohio State. Um, that to me is the story of the year, certainly the story of the fall, and certainly the thing I'm most looking forward to.
I totally agree. Buck Nasty, what's up, my man? Thanks for the 10. Oh man, we already talked on this. Uh Thanks for an ultra member as well. Thoughts on Reggie Bush and if we get any wins back from the Truss era at Nevada. Do you have thoughts on if this will implicate the Jim Tressel era from the Sugar Bowl year, the 2010 year? Do you think we'll get wins back?
I don't think so. Just because, as we talked about earlier, this is a business. This is a Heisman Trust thing, not an NCAA thing. Um, I don't think so. And I mean, there's so many different aspects of that Jim Tressel thing because really, what Jim Tressel was hit for was for signing off on something that he knew to be wrong and technically lying to the NCAA. So I don't see that happening now. If it did, that's great. But I'm going to be completely transparent. I don't care either about that. I'm so forward looking when it comes to college football. I'm all about this next year and then the year beyond that, the year beyond that, the year beyond that. So going to the Wayback Machine to me doesn't make any difference. Do I think they should have him back? Sure. But then you have to go back through every team that's ever lost things to the NCAA and look at through and boy, that's an awful slippery slope as well. Now, on a related but different topic, the Arizona State, they had the details of the show causes for the Arizona State coaches on that kind of what to me was a relatively minor COVID recruiting violation scandal. I mean, one of the guys got 10 years. They were throwing out 10 years, 8 years, 5 years. I mean, they are hammering down on these show causes, and I just can't wait. I mean, if he got 10 years, what's Harbaugh gonna get? I mean, life, life times three. I mean, 10 years. I'd never seen stuff like that before, but that was crazy when they handed it down, and I think again, ominous implications for Michigan when they're hammering stuff like that on something that was not 1/1000th as bad as the Michigan thing, and that's again, we're not talking about going back and looking back towards previous years and what happened. We're talking about this is current stuff, current happening, and current penalties that are going to be inflicted. I think it's going to be absolutely glorious, and I don't see how Sharon Moore avoids the show cause. I don't know exactly what the implications of that would be. Has there ever been a head coach operating in college football while under a show cause from the NCAA? I don't know if that's maybe it has, but it's certainly going to be very very interesting to see what happens once all those penalties are finally adjudicated with Michigan and the NCAA.
Totally agree. And I'm updating our mock draft. If you guys are not on BuckeyeScoop.com, you guys are crazy because our mock draft goes nuts. And I just did the fifth pick, and it's actually Roma Duzier over Malik Neighbors. That is a huge pick. But yeah, if you're on BuckeyeScoop.com, you pick a team, you draft for them. Chalk so far: the Bears took Caleb Williams, Commanders took Jalen Daniels, Drake May to the Patriots, Marvin to Arizona. And then this is the first kind of wild one. Rome to the Chargers over Malik Neighbors, which I'm not picking that one. I'm saying Malik Neighbors all day. But again, things can always change. Yeah, I don't think we get any wins back from the Tressel era just because it's kind of pointless. It's a moot point at this point. It's not as again, like Nevada mentioned with the Reggie Bush Heisman, it's a lot more agile when it's a smaller committee. The Heisman group, I'm sure that they had, I'm sure that they asked the current Heisman winners Golly gee whiz, what do you guys think about this draconian sanction we put on Reggie, where we took his Heisman when all of you guys probably took money too, and they're like, give him his thing back, and the thing they always go back to is they go to the whole dog and pony show where it's like, well, our jersey was for sale in the bookstore for $100, and I was walking around eating Lunchables, and I was eating at the soup kitchen downtown with the homeless people because I couldn't manage my money, so I had to, but everyone was wearing my jersey. Same thing Christopher Weber said. It's like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. I feel for some of those guys that I played with, like, some of the ballers, of course. But like, the rules are the rules. Kind of is what it is. And again, you don't have to play football at Ohio State. You don't have to. It's free will. You can quit whenever you want. You can leave whenever you want. You can go play football at Akron where nobody will buy your jersey. But, people sign up to play at Ohio State. And again, when there's rules, there's rules. And, I know people say, oh, you're being, goody two shoes or whatever. But I'm just like, it's kind of is what it is. And did the rules suck? Yes. Were they slanted in a major way towards Ohio State in the athletic department? Oh, it was insane how much money the athletic department made when we played. Because again, it's not just about, fair share equity or anything, but like, we just didn't get very much when we played. And again, I'm going back to being the old head, but compared to now, that money was always there. And again, I know the money's gone up since there's been streaming services entering into the bidding and expansion and whatever, but like, like I look back at like how porous it was, it was crazy. And again, like, do I feel bad for some of these guys that didn't get paid what they deserved? Sure. But it's part of college. Like, I never minded, like, Shane Battier, who was obviously a great player at Duke. He had a great thing where it was like, it's kind of fun being in college where you have to like fish through your couch to find, change to be able to order a pizza on a Friday night. And I was like, I don't mind that. Again, like, there's a lot of students, a lot of people that go to Ohio State. A lot of you guys went to Ohio State. They incur huge amounts of student debt, loans. They work part-time jobs, waitressing, bartending, whatever, working in a warehouse, whatever you do, interning, where you're not making a ton of money, but you're making, some scraps to help make ends meet. So again, like, I think the good thing about being in college, especially back then when it was tight, is that you learn how to be thrifty and you learn how to like ball on a budget. So I don't know, like, I don't have as much sympathy for people as a lot of other people I think do, because like, I was around the students and I saw how frankly poor they were and how broke they were, and how their families are killing themselves trying to make their tuition payments and their everything else. So I was like, I never felt like I was taking advantage of it, because my job, not part-time, my full-time job was playing football, and that made ends meet. No debt. Got into the NFL, made some scratch for 3 years. It was amazing. So again, I don't have the amount of sympathy that a lot of people think I should have, just because the rules are the rules, and you signed up for it. Like, when you sign up to play football at Ohio State, you understand you're not going to get the equitable share that you get in the NFL, or that the school gets, or whatever. So, but you're using the school to build your brand and build your likeness and build build everything. You build your media awareness, and if you do right by people and you do the right things, like, you're going to have a really good life after you're done playing football, even if you don't play in the NFL. We've had a lot of guys that have done really well. They never played a sniff in the NFL, and they've become doctors and dentists and whatever else, lawyers, and they've had a good life. So AZ King, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. They didn't even take OJ's Heisman back. Glad they gave Reggie his trophy. Now the NCAA Mafia needs to fix the Tat 5. Nevada, your thoughts on OJ? Obviously, he died a few weeks ago. A Vegas staple, OJ Simpson. Scumbag, piece of trash. Hope he's burning in hell right now. But they did not give him his Heisman back after murdering his wife and his wife's boyfriend. But your thoughts on that? And do you think that the NCAA mafia needs to fix the Tat Five?
Uh, well, I mean, honest question. Like, did they take his Heisman away from him? I mean, I know that like they were wasn't didn't he have the Heisman and they was like trying to steal it, not steal it, trying to get it back from him to pay off his civil charge, and he had it, but then he sold it to like a guy or something. Did the Heisman group ever take O.J. Simpson's Heisman away?
I don't think they did. I think that they had to. I mean, I thought he had to like sell it for the civil case because he
Yeah,
lost that.
yeah, I
So
don't think they ever took it. I don't think they took it away because let's face it, the Heisman House, like if you're in the Heisman House, it should be called the Halfway House because like those guys, like it's not, it's filled with a bunch of really questionable characters in there. If you go through and you look at the number of guys that have been convicted of crimes and everything else like that, it's not a hall of great people. So now OJ obviously, um, because he killed his ex-wife and a waiter allegedly was certainly the worst of the worst. I don't believe there's any multiple murderers in there, but yeah, I don't you know I just it just it's so hard. And as for the Tat Five, like I said, until the NCAA comes in, if the NCAA is going to go back and start looking case by case on everybody that they vacated wins, I mean, because I I went through and I counted how many times that the NCAA has gone and vacated wins for school. I mean, it's 100. I mean, it's happened so many times. So if they're going to go case by case and look and try to apply the standards and norms of 2024 to back then and see what they were there, and I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to go, something. The rules were the rules. Those were the rules at the time. They violated them. We had a system in place to do it. I still don't understand the logic of the thing that made the Tat Five so frustrating to me was on the Sugar Bowl thing because they declared them eligible for that game and then made us vacate the game because they played in the game. So that's what I didn't understand. Like if you go back and look, I mean, Kirk, like they were declared eligible to play. So I don't understand that one at all. That was not something like it was there. We played, and they said. I mean, all the facts were known when they went out there and played that game, and then they afterwards went out and vacated the Sugar Bowl. But hey, we won. We were there. We watched. We saw Terrell Pryor ball out and have one of the great passing halves. Well, for a guy who couldn't pass, man, for that first half, he was just lighting it up, and then we hold on for the victory. But no, I don't think that anything's going to be done for the Tat Five. But I do believe that Terrell Pryor should be welcomed back into the Ohio State family. I think that's a travesty that he hasn't been honored as so because he was an incredible player and could have done so much damage. Didn't. He should be part of the Ohio State family. If Maurice Clarett is part of the Ohio State family, Terrell Pryor damn well should be part of the Ohio State family, and I don't think that's even close.
yeah, I mean, I knew the NCAA was the most corrupt organization on earth. I mean, they're up there with like FIFA, um, the Olympic selection site. The committee that selects the Olympic sites. I mean, they pick like China and Russia, and they'd probably pick Iran and North Korea, like the most like whatever country has violated the most human rights, but will also give them the biggest bribes on earth. That's who they'll give the Olympic Games to. Um, I remember because again, I was on staff for that Sugar Bowl, and I'm like, so you're telling me all these guys have been found guilty? They're all ineligible, but it doesn't start until after the bowl game because again, the Sugar Bowl committee and the TV rights providers, I think the game was on ABC or ESPN, whatever it was on. It was like if you take Terrell, you take Mike Adams, you take DeVere, and basically our top three players on offense, and then you put in Joe Bauerman and whoever else, like we're gonna get ran. I mean, if we don't have Terrell Pryor in that game, we probably lose by 35 points because Terrell was that good. DeVere was good. Obviously, Mike Adams is a kid that should have been a first round pick. He didn't have his head screwed on straight, so he didn't, do what he needed to do. But if he did, he would have been a top 10 pick. And it was just like So that's the new metric for college football. It's like, well, we you're in this bowl game playing a really good Arkansas team with Ryan Mallett, who Ryan Mallett at the time was projected to be a top 15 pick, 6'7" guy with a cannon for an arm. Obviously, he fell off the earth when he got to the NFL. Um, and they knew. I mean, they knew that if we didn't have Terrell, we had to start Joe Bowserman. It was going to be a ritual sacrifice. And nobody wants to watch that. Like, that's the thing about these TV executives and these networks and these Big Ten commissioners. Like, they want the good old greasy monkeys that run the Sugar Bowl and these BCS games to be happy. So when you send them that Florida State Georgia game, and again, there's nothing they can do with modern football where it's like, oh, we had 35 guys opt out of our game, and then Georgia wins like 77-3 or whatever. Like, there's nothing you do, but that's what our fate would have been if we didn't have Terrell. Again, you guys all saw Joe Bowserman is our backup, and if he would have played in that game, we lose by 6 touchdowns probably. But with Terrell, we won because that's the meta and the difference between having a great quarterback versus a terrible quarterback. And so it was good that they did that. But as soon as they did that, I was just like, this is the when you read that decision and you heard that decision, it was like you had to go take a shower because it was so slimy and so greasy and so terrible. So, but that's what they did. It's interesting, but again, that's what I knew the NCAA was corrupt and they were a bunch of scumbags because the almighty dollar is all that matters to them, and I think it hurts their souls now that the kids get more money and the kids don't have to scrounge around like they used to, and it makes their pockets less fat. But again, that's my opinion, but my opinion's right. ZZM, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Thank you for the 5. Sorry for my mistake yesterday. I forgot this was his second year. Pryor and company have a point. USC situation was way worse. Restore trust his honor. Well, again, I've never held that against Trust. I still give Trust the benefit of actually winning the first game against an SEC school. And Arkansas was a good school, and we were down in the South, so everyone in Louisiana wants the SEC school to win. This is how it is every time we go down there. The officials were corrupt. We had the worst hotel. That's how it always is when we go down there. So, yeah, I think I don't know if they'll restore it. I don't think they care enough to restore it. But Trust his honor has never been in question with me. Nevada, ZZM asks, sorry for his mistake yesterday, and you don't have to apologize for that, dude. That was an easy correction, no biggie. I forgot this was his second year. Terrell Pryor and company have a point. USC situation was way worse. Restore Jim Tressel's honor. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, again, private company versus NCAA. Tressel's honors. Tressel's one of the most beloved guys in Ohio State history. Could probably run for governor and win. Could probably run for president and should win. And yeah, I mean, Truss is fine, but I don't think that I really don't think that any of that there's not going to be any backward looking thing that's going to correct any of the wrongs that were done to Ohio State. I really don't believe it. But what Ohio State can do on a going forward basis is embrace Terrell Pryor. That's what they should do. They should embrace Terrell Pryor. They should recognize his contributions to Ohio State, what that whole group did, which was pretty incredible. And they can do that. They could do that tomorrow, but they've chosen up to this point not to do that. And I personally think that that's a stain on Ohio State. When I see some of the guys running around that have been embraced, and then I see Pryor, I'm like, come on, this is easy. Bring him back into the talk about the Brotherhood and everything like that. Well, let's really bring him in as part of the Brotherhood because he was part of the Brotherhood. He was an important part of the Brotherhood.
The Brotherhood is great marketing. That might be the best marketing I've ever seen. I mean, it is like if you knew some of the stuff I heard and what some of the guys who are some of the biggest names in school history said to me about the Brotherhood, they'd be like, ooh, juicy, bad, cannot repeat, but really, really, really bad. And again, there's There's guys I love. There's a lot of guys I love that just hate each other. They'll never go back. And there's some guys that love Ohio State, some guys hate Ohio. So again, do I care? No. I'm 40. I'm 39 years old. So it's like I don't really sleep over it. But like the fact, like this brotherhood utopia where everybody just loves each other and everything's great, like that doesn't even exist on today's team. Like, are you kidding me? Like with some of the politics that goes on today's Ohio State team, it's like it is what it is. But it is great marketing. So shout out to whoever came up with the brotherhood because the sacred brotherhood. It's cute to say the least. Sergio Selma next for the Deuce. Judge Barton, I am the law. You guys would hate if I was the law because things would be so much better than it is right now. But it is what it is. If I was the law, we would actually have laws. The country would be less lawless. The NCAA would be less lawless. College football would be less lawless. It would be really, really good. Nevada, your thoughts? Sergio Selma says, Judge Barton, I am the law, which is an old Judge Dredd line. Your thoughts on
Judge,
that?
I like Judge Dredd, the old Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd too. That was I think
Did you
Diane
make
Lane
that?
was in that movie.
Did you make that one?
No, did not. Absolutely, we
I
stayed away
don't.
from all this. We never did like a superhero one. We never had any like we were all more like good story. 7 Years in Tibet, Donnie Brasco, The Score. We were always about stories. We
Whoa, whoa,
weren't. We
whoa,
didn't
whoa,
do
whoa, 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 whoa! No superheroes, but you did wild things.
well. That was a different kind of superhero right there, man. That was that was a different. Don't get me started on that one.
Oh
Oh
God,
yeah,
Denise Richards,
meow.
super
Yeah. Oh,
Denise
Denise
Richards.
Richards. Prime Denise Richards was about as good as it gets right there. Let me tell you.
See, I used to say that, and people were like, "Who's Denise Richards?" I was like,
Oh
"The
man, are
Denise
you kidding?
Richards." Like
Yeah,
like the Denise Richards. I was like, you don't know who Denise Richards is? I was like,
yeah. She
Denise.
was
I
strong.
mean, she. I mean that's like even with the little birthmark under the armpit. I mean that's still strong. She'd have been a scoop girl. Should have had the hat and the tank top.
That's
Um,
Nevada Buck territory right there, man. I'm telling
I,
you.
oh, yeah, I'm telling you, man. And it's like you had Nev Campbell. I mean, great plot, really deep, smart, intelligent stuff going on the whole time. I'm telling you, the movie poster was absolute. I mean, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. Coming out of
There
the
you go.
water, that was yeah, that was
Yeah,
strong.
you're just like, hey, pretend you guys are both like boa constrictors or whatever. And you're coming out of you're coming out of the Nile, and you're just like ready to kill everything in your path. And oh, what a funny movie.
Yeah, they're quirky.
Quirky. Hey,
Yep.
again, a great man once told me in the film business, just make the hits, Nevada.
Exactly. Believe me, that was a good one. That was that we made a lot of money on that one.
Is that a good line? If you ever are in the film business like you used to be, is just make the hits a good line?
It's the best. It sums it all up, and man, that you can use that for everything in life. Just forget all those misses. Just make the hits, man. Just make the
Yeah.
hits. We're trying. We're trying.
We're trying, man. Especially just make them low budget blockbusters. Those are our favorite.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like Napoleon Dynamite costs like 500 grand to make, and they made like $100 million. Like, just make those.
Yep.
Those are good.
Over and over again.
Chocolate chip scooch next to the 5. If Devin One was our quarterback this year, then he'd be most likely Saint of the year. And unfortunately, we'd lose Saint. That is a scenario. I just don't know if it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen. I love Devin. I love that he burned the boats. I think that the boats probably it's a good message to burn the boats. But I don't think we're going to lose Julian Sayin. I think Julian Sayin has got his eyeballs on next year's starting quarterback job. Just my opinion. Maybe I have a hunch there. Nevada Chocolate Chip Scoochie. Appreciate you, my man, for your name is hilarious. And it's also funny that you changed it so it'd be a little more family friendly. If Devin Brown won and was our quarterback this year, he'd most likely State of the Year. And unfortunately, lose Julian Sayin. Your thoughts on that?
Well, see, I love stuff like this because it's like this is the whole chess thing. This is kind of like, hey, let's bring in a guy in the portal. And I'm always thinking, well, if we bring in a guy in the portal, what's the impact going to be in the other guys? And the quarterback derby, you're right. You bring in if Will Howard is not the starting quarterback this year, and Devin Brown is. how does that impact the guys that are behind him? How does it impact Tavian St. Clair? How does it impact Julian Sand? I love thinking about stuff like this because it's high level, and I think that is the stuff that recognizes the reality of college football. This isn't Madden. This isn't just something where you draft a guy or bring a guy in and your roster goes up from 97 to 98 or what. I mean, I don't even know whatever numbers, but you know what I'm talking about. Um, you're dealing with people, and every time you bring in somebody, whether it be through the draft or excuse me, through recruiting or through the portal or whatever means you bring a guy in, there is somebody else in the room that is really unhappy that fact that you did that. And maybe you lose somebody down the line. That's why I've said it's so important that when you bring them in, they have to be studs. They have to be no-brainers. They have to be guaranteed contributors that everybody can recognize, staff can recognize, fans can recognize, and most importantly, the players can recognize. Because if you bring in somebody who can start and play and contribute, most of the guys are pretty good with that. But it's when you bring in the guys that aren't, that are marginal, and heaven forbid you bring in somebody that they don't think is great, but is getting playing time by virtue of the fact that he was brought in to be great, then you've got a potential disaster on your hands. So no, I love the question. Do think it's Will Howard. Love me some Devin Brown. I said this many times. I think they're all going to play this year. I really think they're all going to play in a 16 or 17 game scenario. I just think they're all going to play, and I think they're all. And I'm talking about meaningful minutes. I'm not talking about just kneeling or in the victory formation. I think they're all going to play meaningful minutes because this is going to be a tough schedule, the toughest schedule Ohio State's ever had, and Chip Kelly's throwing the quarterback. So good luck getting through that unscathed. It's going to need a pair and a spare for sure.
You think all five are playing, or do you think it's just
I think three. I think three. I think. I mean, again, gun to my head, I'd say it's Will, Devin, and Julian. I think all three of them will see meaningful minutes. I really
as
do.
you said that was like Denise Richards has got the exact look on my face where I did like the head tilt, and I was like, "Oh, really? You think all five are going to play, but you're down to three? So you think it's going to be?"
Yeah, I like that. I like Denise Richards, Starship Troopers. Denise Richards too. I thought she was hot in Starship Troopers too.
Did you make that one? Was that one of the hits you just
No,
made?
no. Because again, that's like a sci-fi. We just didn't do that stuff, man. All of ours. I mean, the closest thing we did to that was like Legend of Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. That was like the closest thing to a like a sci-fi type of thing. We just didn't do that kind of movie.
Wild Things is pretty sci-fi for me, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
I didn't know you back
yeah,
then, but it was great.
yep,
Donald and Karen at
yep.
Ross Pack, that you all remember. Thanks for the five. Kirk, what was it like to play in front of all the fans at Ohio State and in the NFL? How loud was it? Nevada OH.
I oh
Nevada, do you want to take this one first? You want me to take it?
no, you were actually on the sideline, so I
You're,
think
I
you
know, you're
probably have
upstairs eating popcorn and booing. You big, you're
no.
like Julius Caesar
I
sitting up in your pot in
well,
your ivory
I
tower, your
I
ivory
would never
suite.
boo. I would never boo because I had the hot cocoa in my hand. Whenever you boo, like you might spill the hot cocoa or something. So I
You
let
might
the
get
other
all over
people
your
boo.
black shirt.
I went back into the room, just drank more hot cocoa, and let the other people boo for me.
So when Lima Sweet dunked on Nate, my boy, you're just like, yeah, boo.
Oh no, but I thought we'd come back. I thought we'd come back and win it. And I'm like, okay, Barton, just don't give up a sack, and we're gonna be okay. And then it happened, and then sorry,
I didn't give up a sack. We did fumble though.
I we
We had
did
a chance
fumble.
to
Yeah,
win.
we fumble.
We did
No.
fumble. We did fumble the bag. Um, it's always funny when you're walking into Ohio Stadium. You do the Skull Session walk, and like there's 300,000 people around the stadium. As they filter into the stadium, there's 100,000 in the stadium, and like for everybody except for like the 200 people in the program, which is 100 players and 100 staff members and walk-ons and whatever. Like it's a big party. Like it's a big boondoggle. It's a big, hey, come to my tailgate, eat my smoked cocktail weenies and drink my beer and whatever. But like when you're a player, man, it's like a walking anxiety attack. And I'm telling you, man, it was like, because if you screw the pooch, like again, the thing about Ohio State, I always say this to people, and you guys will sit there and be like, damn, this really registered with me, is that I tell people our fans are very astute, they're very on point, they have long memories. So Ohio State fans will remember you for your biggest moment. And that doesn't always mean a good moment. So you think of Jake Ballard, you think of him making the catch against Oregon. You think of Ryan Hamby, you think about him dropping the ball against Texas. And again, is that fair? Yeah. Because when you sign up to play at Ohio State, when you have one of those bad moments, it's, again, there's a lot of our fan base that thinks of Troy Smith of the Wolverine killer. And then there's people think about Troy, Michigan, whatever. So I used to remember that. I was like, you better ball, you better play well, you better keep the quarterback clean, not give up sacks, not have some catastrophic game where you give up 5 sacks. Because again, you got on the field versus a good team like Michigan or Penn State, like you could have that game. You could have that game where you get turnstiled at tackle and you get your break speed off and somebody humiliates you, and so you don't want to be that guy. But I used to always tell the young kids that I coached, just treat it like it's inside run. Inside run is a live drill we do against the defense every Tuesday at Ohio State during practice. And I say, hey, it's like inside run. Just get out there. If you can block, our top defense, which was in 12, it was like Johnny Simon and Hankins and Garrett Goebel and those guys and Nate Williams. It's like, you can block anybody. So just treat it like that. Forget the crowd, get off on the count, get off on the snap count, and you'll be fine. And it worked out good. In the NFL, again, I played in some really loud arenas. The loudest by far was Seattle. Seattle had a acoustic, like a dome. Quest Field is crazy loud. Never played at Arrowhead, but there isn't a lot of places in the country than Penn State. So I played at Penn State. It was loud. Wisconsin was loud. Ohio State can be loud, but our acoustics aren't as loud as Penn State's are, if that makes sense. I'm sure some people are whatever, but in Washington, where the Huskies are, I played there my senior year, very loud. So it was loud. Again, it was something where, once you get to a certain degree of volume, it doesn't matter. When you get to the point you can't hear anything, if it gets louder past the point you can't hear anything, you already can't hear anything. So it's like if you're in the bathroom and your wife has her hair dryer going, that's loud and you can't hear anything. So if you're sitting next to a jet engine, obviously it's hard on your eardrums, but it's still loud and you still can't hear anything. So that was kind of where it was at a lot of the stadiums that were the louder stadiums. So you just got to get used to it and get off on a silent count, and kind of is what it is. But that's a great question. I appreciate that. Jeremy Moreland, thanks for the 5. Jeremy bringing the heat with the OJ deal. Appreciate you being an ultra member as well, my friend. OJ sold it for a civil case. Broke adult trash. Laugh out loud. Jeremy is awesome. That is a great answer. I said go Bucks. Nevada. OJ sold it for the civil case with Golden's parents. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be coming back into the family's possession. But any thoughts on that?
No, he got what he, look in life, you generally get what you deserve. And he got, the fact that he got away with it and actually was able to live a life and wrap up, chicks and play golf and that should have never been. And thank goodness for the state of Nevada that righted the wrong and went out there and threw him in jail for some bogus charge after that. So at least there was a little bit of justice done for part of his life, so he didn't get to live it out good. And I'm glad he lost the Heisman. Even though they didn't take it, they took it. So justice prevailed.
I love that. Deb Sobel, thanks for the 5. The punishment for the 5, the TAT 5, felt harsh given nothing they did affected the game outcome. I agree, but again, I think that they made an example of them because it was Terrell and it was egregious. But again, it was also stupid. I mean, those guys, they knew what they were doing was wrong. They sold their stuff, and again, even if it was trinkets and dumb things like, you know, like rules are rules. And again, do I agree with rules? No. Like, do I jaywalk sometimes? Of course. But it was very harsh. I mean, those guys lost their 5, 6 games. Devere was out for like 8 games. I mean, Devere came back for like the last 2 games of the season. I was like, we had Devere back from Michigan. We almost beat Michigan because of Devere. But yeah, it was tough. It was hard on those kids, and we had Marcus Hall getting suspended, Carlos Hyde. I mean, it was like we had just an avalanche of suspensions that were being mentioned like midweek during those weeks. It was nuts. But Nevada, your thoughts? Do you believe the punishment to the 5 was harsh, given that they did nothing to affect a game outcome?
Yeah, I thought it was ridiculous, but as you said, it was the rules at the time. Terrell Pryor was such a high profile recruit; everybody wanted to go after that guy, and so it happened. But yeah, I knew a lot of those kids, and I thought they were great kids, and probably one of my favorite. The whole Brew Crew was my favorite group ever that played at Ohio State, and um, it was. I thought we got robbed to seeing Terrell his senior year. That could have been really something amazing and special, but stuff happens, life goes on, and I think the big story, you kind of buried the lead on that. The big story is you're one of those jaywalkers that just like walks out in front of your car when you're like pulling out of Ohio Stadium or something like that. Those people don't even look. You know what I'm saying? Like you're stopped out there and they walk, and then one of them walks, and then like 50 of them walk, and I just start plowing them down there. It should be like Death Race 2000 when you just run them over there. But Kirk, I didn't know you were one of those jaywalkers.
No, I'm a jaywalker, and I also, when I leave the restaurant, I grab all the mints and put them in my pocket. So I'm loaded out with mints from when they have like the little like canister of like free mints. Like, so I take like a whole handful of mints and put them in my pocket, and then when I leave the hotel, I take all the towels and put them in my bag and the hangers. And I had teammates who used to do that. I'm like, why are you stealing hangers from the hotel? Oh, because they'll never catch us. Like, I had literally teammates that I played with at Ohio State, and I was like, this is the Brotherhood. You're stealing hangers from an away game hotel. Like hangers, you get
Okay,
hangers at
that's
Walmart
that,
for
that's the reason why they
$10.
have those hangers.
No, I know the ones that you
Those
can't
hangers that have
hang.
those funky little handles that aren't
No,
like the
I
real
know.
hang.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. It's like
thank,
you're the
thank.
reason. You're the
No,
reason I have to deal with that.
it's not me. I didn't sell a fucking hanger. I'm just like, I'm not going to sell a hanger when I've got,
Don't name
you know.
don't name names, man.
No,
Protect
no,
protect the
I'm not.
brotherhood.
I
Do
don't.
not
Yeah,
name names.
the Brotherhood will be there forever. But
The
I'm just
hanger
saying, like, I'm
thieves.
not.
I want to know. We want to know.
But I used to be like, I'd be like, you guys are serious. You're seriously selling hangers. Oh, these are nice hangers. These big fat turds. I was like, God, I mean, they're
Uh,
lucky they didn't give me a cannon where I could shoot some of my teammates into the sun, because I'd have done it. And you guys would have been like, well, what happened to our starting guard? I'd have been like, well, I shot him into the sun. Sorry, pregame. So we got the
ooh,
backup playing because
ooh.
he was
So you got
jacking hangers
hangers.
like a fat turd. Maurice Clarinet, thanks for the 5. Well, the notice of allegations against Michigan give us an idea of what the NCAA is thinking in terms of punishments and any chance that they get the death penalty. Nevada, the notice of allegations against Michigan, I don't think that's been out yet, right? I believe.
No, that's the second one. No, they're not going to get the death penalty. I mean, they're not going to get the death penalty. The they will be banged as a repeat offender. That's kind of a mitigating circumstance that'll kind of enhance the penalties. But they're not going to get the death penalty. The NCAA is really, especially in this new environment. I'm not sure what a school would have to do to earn the death penalty, but they're not going to get that. But no, they won't lay out the penalties, but it'll lay out kind of a frame. We'll have a pretty good idea based upon the framework of the letter of allegation what the penalties are probably going to entail. So, yeah, and again, that could break any time. That could break today, tomorrow, next week, or it could be just timing that's so impossibly difficult, but it could come at any moment.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, I could death penalty. I mean, that was That's such a rare thing. That's an SMU thing. I don't think Michigan gets that, but I think they're going to get smacked very hard, which is going to be great. Larry Daniels, thank you for being an ultra member. Thank you for the 5. Do you recommend or have a sports book as a sponsor? Ooh, Nevada. Is there one thing that we've been looking for more than a sports book sponsor? No. But your thoughts? Do you recommend one?
No, we're gonna. Yeah, no. Here's. Let me just tell you, okay, guys. I know a lot about this, so I could give like an entire podcast on sports books and stuff. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you're recreational, and you live in Ohio, it all depends on where you live and what's available to you. Then DraftKings, those types of things are really good books. The lines are really soft. If you're looking for an offshore book that could go in any of the 50 states, I do like Bet Online, which is really, really sharp. And no, it's and as for looking for, we're gonna get a sports book sponsor. Just a question of when. That's a natural extension for us, given the interest of our, everybody that listens to the show has some sort of interest in sports betting at some level, and so we'll find. We just haven't found the right one yet, but we will find one eventually.
So you recommend DraftKings? Is what you're saying?
I mean, DraftKings is so easy to beat. I mean, the biggest problem with DraftKings, we beat the pants off of DraftKings, and they close our accounts. And so it's like they are very easy to, if you're paying attention, they're very easy to beat. And by you say, well, Nevada, how are they very easy to beat? They're slow to change lines. So if you get a line like, say you're watching the Phoenix Suns game, and the Phoenix total goes from 221 to 215, and you see the steam going to the under, so you bet the under. You can go back to DraftKings and they'll have the line still at 221, and that happens. Ooh, very nice, very nice pick. I like Starship Troopers.
I know she's got like the RoboCop like motif going. I was waiting for you to talk about like the inside detail.
She was hot.
DraftKings.
That totally changed my my topic. But yeah, DraftKings is super beatable.
She's like, in this outfit, you could throw a fresh out of the oven beef Wellington at me, and it won't sear me or burn me at all because I've got this RoboCop motif on.
Nope. Yeah, no,
Denise
show for sure.
Smoke show. I just saw some of the competitors said Nevada doesn't know what a hot girl looks like, and I was like, I think he might. I don't know.
Yeah, I might.
He's in the corner. He's in the corner, and I'm getting all the hot girls. Oh my god, that's my hero right there, boy.
Oh my god.
What a call.
Oh, and I have an announcement to make. I have an announcement. To make. I want you to know this is regarding the sale at BuckeyeScoop.com. I want you to know that there will never be a sale at BuckeyeScoop.com. We will never be discounting our product ever. So if you see anybody discounting their product, your first question should be, why in the world are these people discounting their product? But I just want you to know for Buckeye, our big announcement at Buckeye Scoop is we will never ever be discounting our product. So that's it. That's the announcement on the Buckeye Scoop sale.
That's all right. Yeah, we're not an outlet.
Denise,
so.
yum.
W Buckeye, thanks for the 10. If Michigan does not get the death penalty at Nevada, then what penalty do you think they get for the worst scandal ever in college football? I mean, they're going to get sanctioned. There's going to be show causes galore. I mean, go ahead, Nevada.
Yeah. It's going to be vacated wins. It's going to be scholarship reductions. It's going to be multi-year show causes. It'll be a fine. It'll basically be everything that they're going to get hit with the kitchen sink, but then everything short of the death penalty they're going to get hit with. And I have absolutely no doubt about that. It's going to happen. It will happen. Just a matter of when it happens.
Yeah. It'll take time, but it'll be glorious, and that'll be a great live show. I can't wait for that one. Jay Willie 75, thanks for the deuce. Appreciate you, man. Why did that kicker from Ohio go to Bama? Because we didn't even call him. I don't know why. I don't even want to get into that. I mean, like we didn't even reach out to the kid, and I mean, he's from Cincinnati, kicked at Miami, of Ohio, won the Groza, and I don't know if the coaches are on a 3 week break like the players are, but maybe I don't know. I think if you're all in for the season, you'd want to add the Groza winner. I mean, I'm sure he was cheap. There's no way it costs that much money, but I don't know. Nevada, your thoughts? Why did the kicker from Miami, of Ohio go to Bama?
This is kind of like the why did the chicken cross the road to get the other side? Why did he go? Yeah, because Ohio State just didn't have any interest, and we've offered theories. I think the best theory is they believe in Fielding, and he's a young guy and going to be here for multiple more years, and they felt that was the best long term plan. I don't agree with that, but I hope Fielding. Do I think Fielding can be a capable kicker? Absolutely. Have I been at every practice watching him kick and watching it? No, I haven't. So they have way more information than and they chose to pass on him. So I respect that. I think Ryan Day has earned the benefit of the doubt given the unbelievable offseason that he's had. So I'm not going to. This is not a DEF CON 1 lineup on the ledge thing, but it is curious. I would have gone a different direction, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, our kickers have not been great, so it's been interesting. So, well, I think we can wrap this thing, Nevada. Nevada, any final thoughts as we head off into the night?
No, tomorrow night's draft, NFL draft. So, do we know what time is the draft, Mr. Barton? Do you know offhand
I
what
believe
time is the first pick?
Gotta double check. I believe it's 8 p.m., which is kind of crazy because it's a long.
So perfect. That's perfect. So we go 7 o'clock. We go right into the draft, and I want you guys all to think positive thoughts for Marvin Harrison to be the first wide receiver taken, and J.J. Smith to fall out of the first 5. Those two things happen, the Nevadabuck is very, very happy.
J.J. McCarthy.
If either of those things don't happen,
McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. Pick number 6.
You said
with pick number 6, they take J.J. McCarthy.
You said J.J. Smith.
I don't even care. Whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. J.J. McCarthy, J.J. Smith.
Whomever. I was like, I hope you laid that bet that J.J. Smith will get drafted in the top 5.
Whomever that moron Michigan quarterback that allegedly ran the 4.4, but that never ran. And
he never did run, did he?
The top 5 picks.
How does that bet work when somebody says that they'll bet you for a 4.4? No, but seriously, how's that bet work? When someone says, "Hey, I bet you he'll run a 4.4," and then he never runs. Well, does everybody just keep their cash?
He didn't run a 4.4. No, they should pay if there's any righteousness in the world. If he could run a 4.4, he would have run. Believe me, if he'd run a 4.4, that would have got people's attention. He ain't running no 4.4. No chance, man.
Oh my god, I love it so much. That was a real bet on that was a real bet on BuckeyeScoop.com. Is that JJ McCarthy would run a 4.40, and Nevada walked up to the ticket window and was like, "Take my money." And a lot of times happens in the world of Nevadabuck when it comes to bets. A lot of times there's these bets, and again, I've got a guy who's a major head coach right now in college football who bet me and never paid. So, there's a reason why they end up losing to Marshall. And it's just one of those things where if you don't pay your bets, man, it's not good. Not a good look. Nevada, I wish you would have got paid for that. Because that was about the easiest bet I've ever heard, is that J.J. McCarthy could run a 4.440. I'm like, do you know how fast you have to be to run a 4.440? Like, I think like Anthony Gonzalez and Dante Whitner ran 4.440s. And those guys were build of muscle and fast twitch, and J.J. McCarthy is not that. It's not even close. So, we'll wrap this thing up again. We appreciate you guys kicking it with us each and every night. Thank you guys for being a big part of the show. Thank you for making this a huge show. As always, we appreciate you guys each and every night. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Another great night in the chat. Chat was live. Thank you for the super chats. Those are fantastic. Thank you, Scoop family, for fueling that up. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. Again, we appreciate all of your likes, your subscriptions, the alert bell. We'll go right into the draft tomorrow, 7 to 8. It'll be fantastic. We can't wait to see you. See if there's any last minute shakeups on the draft board. But I'm excited for the draft. I love the NFL draft. It's going to be great. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. See you at 7 tomorrow. Go Bucks.